record button. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for attending our session this month. This month's topic is going to be a little bit of a cool one, but one that might get a little bit forgotten about in the grand scope of things. The TechByte SMB appliances, or what we today call Quantum Spark. Now, these are small appliances. I actually have one that I'm going to show you in a minute, but you can see in the document that we're looking at right now. They're small appliances. They're not 1U. They're like a desktop size. They're used to secure branch offices, home offices, anywhere where we don't need a full-size gateway. They come with the same access control and the same threat prevention capabilities that the big firewalls come with. So I wanted to show you a couple quick things in this data sheet just to get you familiar with what we're talking about. And then we're going to jump to a demo and walk through the console briefly. Okay. And as always, if you have any questions, you can throw them in the chat, you can throw them in the Q&A, whatever you're most comfortable with. So there's a couple of examples of them. We have 4 different devices: the 1530, 1550, 1570, 1590. They're all the same size. They have different throughputs and capabilities, right? So I got that here. For example, the 1530 will do 340 megabit of threat prevention, all the different blades turned on. The 1550 does 450, and the 2 larger guys, the 1570 and 90, do 500 and 660 comparatively. These appliances come, the concept is to kind of be an all-in-one, right? So they come as a strictly wired network device like this, or we have the option to have Wi-Fi models that can give you Wi-Fi networks at your branch locations, or we even have ones that can do 4G LTE, right? So you can have a backup connection at a branch office that's, or doesn't have to be the backup, if you don't have internet, regular internet out there. You can use a 4G LTE natively with these boxes. You just put a SIM in it. They are managed. So these devices run Gaia. It is a different flavor of Gaia called Gaia Embedded. The management can be done several ways. You can manage them centrally from a smart management, from a smart console management server, the same way you manage your larger enterprise gateways. They can be integrated into that policy, and it all works the same way any other checkpoint gateway works. But they're also designed to be managed locally, right? As a small office or a small business might have these. You can access them through a web browser and manage them there. And then also they have what we call the cloud management or security management portal, which you can manage multiple of these devices from the cloud. I think there's anything else. Just to show you here, we're going to see it in a second anyway, but just so you can see here, again, they have all the same prevention and protection blades that a enterprise size gateway, our 6000 series, for example, would have. Okay. Also, I'll point this out super quick. We have the ability to do some management and also a lot of notifications via an app for phones for these devices, which the app is pretty cool. Pretty good stuff. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing this part. And just to show you, I brought a visual aid today, a first for our TechBytes, I guess. This is a 1590 wired appliance. It has no Wi-Fi, but you'll see this is actually the device. And as you can see, it's not very big, certainly smaller in footprint than my laptop. It might be a tad thicker, but it's definitely not as wide. Comes with a variety of ports on the back. Also comes with an SD card slot That's used to back up your configuration, etc. And move it from device to device, or just keep a backup of it set, so that if you have to restore, set it back to default and restore it, it's easy to go. It's actually set up with little holes to mount it on a wall or wherever. And of course, this again is a wired one, but the Wi-Fi ones would have little antennas sticking out on the sides and on the front and on the back. Pretty light, pretty small. They're powered by a just a regular plug, which has a inline converter in it, much like a laptop's plug. So that's the look at the actual device. So to actually get into it a little bit, right here. Okay, here we go. So again, these devices can be managed through a web browser. Simply navigate to their IP, log in. And here we are. So it brings us to an overview. The first overview is just the general info, how long has the system been up? What's it running? The internet is connected. Notifications come through here. There's also a notifications page we can get to. And then this, which is kind of neat, it gives you live viewing of your network activity, how many packets, and also how many kilobit or megabit per second traffic going through. Also comes baked in with a security dashboard, so it'll show you your various blades that are available. As you can see, most of these are turned on. It has firewall, application and URL filtering, user awareness. It has QoS, to prioritize and shape bandwidth. Has the full threat prevention suite of intrusion prevention, antivirus, anti-bot, threat emulation, anti-spam for on-premise email. It also has VPN capabilities, which are really important for branch offices. It has both the site-to-site, but also has the remote access. So if a user has our client or a secure remote or what have you, you can grant them VPN access here. I'll jump right to some of the things we can see at the device level. You can see your local network and what's plugged into the various ports. Obviously, there's not too much plugged in at this particular demo machine, but mine at home has quite a few things plugged in. If you had Wi-Fi on here, it would be just under this little tab, and it would show you all the devices connected to the Wi-Fi. You set your routing, you set your all your variety of system level configurations here. And then the important part, I guess, are these two, right? Much like our smart console and our enterprise gateways, the policy on these machines is broken out into two pieces. The access policy, right, where we do our firewall, our application control, our URL filtering, etc. And then the second part is the threat prevention policy. So the firewall policy, now these boxes, excuse me, these boxes are built to have the ability to kind of just with a couple clicks get them up and running. So you see we have baked in here like strict, standard, and off for firewall policy. We have URL filtering, several settings to block like security, risk categories, and block inappropriate content, etc. This is like the one-click start, right? Or maybe not one click, but a few clicks start. Now the true policy looks somewhat similar to what you might see in Smart Console. Again, as always, firewall rules starts at the top and works its way towards the bottom. And there's some generated rules based on what you set in that previous screen. But of course, you could also set a new rule. You put your source, you put your destination. You could put any application or service. So for example, if we wanted to block, I don't know, Instagram, let's try like YouTube, right? Click YouTube, set our actions, set our logs, and we're off to the races. It also has categories. I should have done that while I was in there, but you can set a category. So let's see. Well, you could actually go to the categories filter here, and you can see there's a wide variety of different categories. So if, for example, we wanted to block, let's see, P2P file sharing, for example, you click that one, set your rule, and you're off. The policy is broken out into outgoing access and incoming, and also VPN is here. So you can set different rules if someone's on VPN. We do have user awareness, right? You can hook this up to a Active Directory or other directory service and get users information and set policy around users. We do have SSL inspection available on this. Now, without doing the certs, you can actually do this categorization, which is really nice. It gives you some level of control. You can do full SSL traffic inspection by, downloading a cert onto the host and, essentially setting us up as man in the middle. You see our options here. You can also make websites to bypass, right? Because you don't want to decrypt, all websites. Our threat prevention side. Yes, I want to leave that page. Our threat prevention side. Again, we have the same threat prevention as we do on the other machines: IPS, antivirus, anti-bot, threat emulation. Again, you can have like a one or few click start where you can just hit like a strict policy. It shows you that with high confidence it prevents, medium confidence it prevents, low is going to detect. You can customize any of this. You can also go ahead and make exceptions, right? So if there's a certain thing that's bothering that it's having a false positive or something, you can make exceptions. You can also go through the IPS protections to see what it has and what the action is set to do. And you also have anti-spam, like we mentioned, for on-premise email, and here's some of the settings there. VPN, right? So we have VPN. We have both the remote access for users with clients, and we can also, with clients or without clients, as a matter of fact, you could do SSL through like a portal, right? And when you set them up, it actually gives you instructions, right? Here's how to connect these machines. And you just have these. You could actually get an email with these, share them with your users. You set your variety of settings in here. Here's your subnet. Here's your mask. Here's your DNS, etc. We also have site to site, which this is not turned on this one, but you simply define your sites. It's fairly straightforward. You have a pre-shared secret or a certificate, and you can have site to site with these. Let's see, what else do I got to show? So the last couple things I wanted to show, because I know we're down to the last few minutes. And also I'm going to stop. I should have stopped earlier, but I'm going to check the chat and Q&A. I don't see any questions so far, but I'll hang one more second. Okay. So we have logging, right? We have our basic security logs. You can see what's dropped and what's accepted. You can query based on like devices or usernames or actions, what have you. Very similar to the logs on the the enterprise gateways. Like you see, I search VPN. Here's all my logs related to VPNs, for example. You can also export this to external log servers. Of course, this can be exported out to a central management, a checkpoint central management to be used with Smart Event. You also can get a list of devices that are connected. And it even has a section where you can see devices that had been connected that had some sort of suspicious activity, we'll say. And then probably lastly for today, we have baked in the ability to make some reports. These can be done on a couple different time frames, right? Hourly, daily, weekly, monthly. As you can see, this one has just an hourly look. There hasn't really been much in the way of AV and IPS events, but there have been anti-bot. You can see the breakdown of traffic, right? It's a lot of YouTube usage. There's app-get protocol, some Google stuff, Instagram, Facebook, and then others. You can see there's some high-risk applications, including anonymizers. And as you scroll through, you can kind of see this report's got, information on network utilization during that time frame. Bandwidth usage, you can see the bandwidth really cranked up around 315 and had, a variety of things going on. As we keep scrolling, you can see the top applications by bandwidth. So we see that YouTube is the big data hog, which isn't surprising. You see some of the other websites and applications being used. You see Dropbox, you see this anonymizer like we had mentioned earlier, and it'll come back up in a second. You can also see by session. This is sites by bandwidth. These sites are eating up the bandwidth. You can see by category, right? So we see a lot of social networking, some email, some search engine tools, and then we see some stuff that's high risk and spyware, which we see here. A lot of that is anonymizers, right? There's anonymizer application is being used. We see there's 58 different sessions. And there was also an attack, intrusion, a Trojan of some kind that was discovered. It was on this device. Okay, so that's the report. These reports can be downloaded out to PDFs, so you can share them, email them, whatever. And I think that's the main overview. I know we kind of buzzed through that pretty quick. Again, to kind of just summarize, these quantum spark or SMB appliances, as we used to call them, the idea is to secure a branch, secure a local location, to secure a small business. You can use these all over. I have customers that have them spread out in many different locations. They're small, they're convenient, they're not, they don't cost very much. And the idea is to have the same level of security, right? The same level of security at your branch as you do at your data center and your main offices and so on. Okay, so I'm going to pause one more time for any questions or comments or thoughts. And I'll just check the chat and the Q&A real quick. Oh, okay, one question here. So the question is, can these be managed also by the Smart One Cloud, which is the, for those that don't know, is essentially the same Smart One management, but we host it and we have it on our Infinity portal. Yes, the answer is yes. You can manage just these with Smart One Cloud, or you can, in a dispersed environment with, some enterprise gateways, some of these. Good question. The answer is yes. Okay. Keep checking for another minute or so here. Okay. Okay. So yeah, definitely appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining. If you have any questions, if you have any interest in seeing one of these devices, please, by all means, follow up with me. Um, and otherwise, thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great day.